Welcome to the Circular Economy Show podcast by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. I'm Emily, the finance lead at the foundation, and I'm your host for this episode. During this podcast, I'll be joined by Gianmarco, Luigi and Cristina from the Italian bank Intesa Sanpaolo. Later on, you'll hear from Cristina, who works on strategic initiatives at the bank, speaking about the critical connection between the circular economy, biodiversity loss and climate mitigation in relation to finance, as well as Luigi, who is head of Circular Economy Desk, who will describe how Intesa supports its clients on their circular economy journey. But first, the circular economy has been a strategic priority for Intesa Sanpaolo for a number of years. As part of that, last year, they renewed their circular economy credit facility, called the Plafond, for another 8 billion euros, the biggest of its kind in the world. I kicked off the conversation by asking Gianmarco, head of strategic marketing and ESG initiatives, how the bank finances circular economy businesses and what they need from companies that they give loans to.
The role of the bank has completely changed from being a kind of a super hyper regulator on financial markets to a trusted advisor, because we do push the fact that circular economy model is fundamental for economic development in order to generate positive environmental and social impact, because it's all about redesign of industrial processes and business models. We are all aware of this, and we're pushing really hard in order to make a cultural change, because we are a system bank. We are the most important bank in Italy, but we are in the top 3 in Europe. And therefore, we feel the responsibility not only to finance, but to drive them towards change. But talking about a bit about numbers, we have been allocating during this business plan that started last year, and we will ending up next year, around 8 billion completely and fully dedicated to the circular economy. I don't want to run too much through the numbers, but let me say that since 2022, we assessed 624 projects and validated for an amount of 15.6 billion. And again, we are very proud of the fact that talking about benchmarking and talking about even other banks, we are just a few having such important focus. This is not only a competitive advantage that we want, of course, to have inside the business, but because we truly believe that this is an extremely important part of the banking side in order to de-risk and therefore to push forward to the next level of decarbonization and evolution.
Great, thank you. And while we're on the numbers, I also want to get down to the individual company level. So, when you provide a loan to a company with the Plafond, what do you ask of the companies, and what do they need to report back to demonstrate that they are actually driving progress towards a circular economy in their business?
Well, we have a framework that we have created together, and inspired by together with the MacArthur Foundation, and we have a set of information. It's very detailed, that is included in this framework, because this, not for all the projects, is linked to a credit and incentivization framework, where we can provide funds at a lower rate compared to the rate in other inputs. That is very important to the counterparty. Therefore, there are a set of rules we have in order to define what is I think is circular and to finance this.
So companies get a lower rate of interest, so preferential financing, and also if they meet certain circular economy eligibility criteria. Luigi, so what happens when a company comes to you and they don't already meet that criteria? How can you still support them on their circular economy journey?
Yeah, speaking specifically of our credit offer, Intesa Sanpaolo, the bank, has set up a team of circular experts called the Circular Economy Desk within the Innovation Center of the banking group. This desk provides technical support to our colleagues in the business units or directly to the client. We used to help colleagues or directly the client to improve their awareness regarding circular economy. So, for example, our technical advisory can be oriented to highlight, let's say, some circular pieces of the sustainability strategy of our clients, as it may be common to find some companies already applying a circular strategy without explicitly calling it circular. There are also several ways for Intesa Sanpaolo to support its clients that don't initially meet our circular economy eligibility criteria. I think that they can be summarized in four main impact areas, let's say. We have first the education side, the capacity building area, in particular through our innovation center and its circular economy lab. We have developed training programs for our clients and workshops to upskill employees and management in the circular economy theory, let's say. Secondly, the area of advisory and assessment services. Again, through our Circular Economy Lab, we developed an in-depth assessment of the company's circularity level, looking both at its supply chain and business model to identify gaps and areas where circular principles can be applied. And also, we have the networking and collaboration side, the third area. So to connect companies with other businesses and organizations, we think that it is truly crucial also to match companies that are applying circular economy strategies successfully with companies that that are looking for new ways and business models in the circular framework. And lastly, I would say, in general, advisory services regarding the strategy of our client. As I mentioned before, we have the opportunity to influence and to orient the strategy of our clients towards a more circular future.
So it sounds like you develop a really deep relationship with these companies and clients and really support their transition and encourage them to embed circular economy within their strategy and business model. And I wanted to get to sort of the heart of the economics question, which I know that is a challenge for many businesses, is that to transition a business model, you need to invest. It's going to cost money. But how do you see businesses actually transitioning their business model from linear to circular and doing that in a profitable way and making more money over the long term?
Yeah, in my experience, I would say that it is easy for a client to understand the potential in terms also of economic potential. The environmental side is quite clear regarding the circular economy. In terms of the economic side, it is easy to understand that the company can get some benefits in terms of saving, for example, regarding the input side of a production cycle, using recycled materials or recovering the scraps that you have within a production process. The real challenge is to invest in a complete let's say, evolution of the strategy itself, of a business model of a company. Here we have the real challenge where we are facing some, tough discussion with our clients when you are talking about changing the entire business model. I think that here, thanks to the experience of the MacArthur Foundation and the network around the foundation itself, we can be inspired thanks to the experience of big corporates that are practically changing their business model. If I'm thinking, for example, about the fashion industry or the energy industry, here we have some real good experiences and best practice that can inspire especially the small and medium enterprises sides of the market.
And Gianmarco, I want to also ask you to elaborate on that a little bit and about the benefits of, the financial benefits of transitioning to a circular business model that you really see from your side.
As Luigi has correctly highlighted, of course, it takes time because to go from linear to circular, it takes a lot. It takes a huge investments. It needs to be done in phases, but it absolutely something that we did. We did so many trades with so many clients deploying a huge amount of money. There is an ongoing debate very rapidly. I just want to finish with this about in general, circular is economic on the economy point of view, on yield, more profitable or less profitable. In this case, the answer is let's distinguish the near term. The short term is something that is truly tremendous in terms of target objectives, and longer term, because probably in the shorter term there could be a negative carry in terms of yield, even on the bank side and even on the investor side. But in this case, this is the only way we can make a change. Therefore, maybe we could have a burden to accept in the shorter term in terms of yields, but this is the correct way in order to make money in the longer term.
So, there might be a short-term time when it's more expensive or it costs more and there's that need for investment, but really we need to look at the long term to see the benefits, and we expect those businesses to be lower risk and more resilient and profitable over the longer term. And I think one of the impacts that we could already look at in the shorter term is the link to climate, which I wanted to talk to you about, Cristina. Do you see this link to climate in the work that you do between circular economy and climate, and how do you embed that in your long-term strategy?
Well, I do believe that the circular economy and climate are strongly interconnected. And most of all, I believe that circular economy can be one of the main drivers and accelerator to achieve the climate and biodiversity goals, such as, for example, the reaching net zero in terms of GHG emissions. Well, as you already know, the circular economy aims to eliminate the concept of waste and to reduce the need for new resource extraction. And this approach can significantly mitigate climate change, preventing the pollution of natural ecosystems, lowering the demand for raw materials, including fossil fuels, and increasing resilience to the physical effects to climate change. With this in mind, we have two main objectives. First of all, to accelerate the achievement of net zero. As part of the Net Zero Banking Alliance, we have set ambitious targets by 2030 in terms of financed emissions reductions in high-emitting sectors like oil and gas, automotive, power generation, and coal mining. And we have already achieved an overall reduction of more than 60% in absolute emissions in these sectors. And as well, we are also committed in protecting and restoring natural capital. For example, through a dedicated biodiversity policy we're working on. And the second objective is to support clients through the ESG and climate transition, and primarily to sustainable lending, of course, and the credit facility fully dedicated to the circular economy. We have also decided to adopt a priority ESG scoring methodology. to properly analyzing and, assessing the sustainability profile of our customers. And this ESG score is composed by over 100 quantitative KPIs, and it is used for both corporate and SME clients. And some of these KPIs refers entirely to circular economy, some of them to climate change mitigation adaptation, some to biodiversity, and so on.
Can I just unpick what you said there about integration of ESG scores, environmental, social governance scores, into the sort of credit risk rating of companies? Can you just explain that a little bit, what that means, and from also how circular economy is integrated into that?
Yeah, the ESG score is a very important instrument to understand the profile of a sustainable profile of the customer, and it helps us in giving credits to that, to borrow money to clients. And it's something very new, since in the credit process, it's another little step that can give us a very holistic view of the company. And so we can, with this, we can support the clients that somehow are also joining our view on climate, on circular, and on sustainability in general.
And this means that then you can offer them, you can prove that they are lower risk companies, and then you can offer them lower interest rates on their loans. Brilliant. I wanted to end by asking about the circular economy narrative. And Gianmarco, I know you mentioned this at the beginning, saying you were one of the only banks, if not the only bank, who were talking about circular economy. So, in your opinion, is the narrative out there on circular economy clear enough and reaching the right people? And what needs to change?
Well, I think that a very good job has been made in the recent years about the narrative on circular economy, especially in Europe. The main effort in terms of communication, I guess, has been made to change the perception of the circular economy as a recycling topic. But we cannot stop here. We need to do more in the future. And in my opinion, the narrative could be more focused on three main aspects. First of all, the strategic and economic importance of the circular economy. Just think about the economic impact in terms of savings that comes from maximizing resource efficiency, or the geopolitical importance of circular practices in the procurement of raw materials. Secondly, the regenerative effect of the circular economy. This concept is becoming fundamental. And in this sense, I think probably people need to somehow be re-educated to the value of products. And in this scenario, I think it's quite interesting, the concept of materials as a service, and the analogy with the financial industry. Just let me explain it in a few words. The regeneration concept of circular economy foresees that people should borrow materials from the earth and return them with interest. And as with the bank loan, the borrower has to return the capital to the lender, plus a portion of interest that covers the risk that the credit institution has taken in lending that initial capital. This is exactly what should happen in the relationship between humanity and nature. But in reality, we get a loan from the earth and we pay back lost capital and zero interest.
I really like that analogy that regeneration is like paying back our loan to planet Earth with interest. I think that's a really, really nice way to think about it. Intesa's approach is grounded in making the economics work. And critically, they are placing the circular economy at the heart of the bank's de-risking strategy. The plafond is one of the largest pots of money dedicated to the circular economy, and we heard how Intesa works with businesses at various points on their circular economy journey to support them in becoming more fundable. By putting the role circular economy plays in tackling the climate crisis and biodiversity loss at the forefront of their work, they are also offering a significant pool for businesses to engage too. Intesa Sanpaolo really is leading the pack, and we hope many more banks adopt similar approaches to support businesses in their loan book to transition. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Circular Economy Show podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll speak to you next time.